Good evening. Welcome to the St. Charles Parish Council meeting. Welcome to the St. Charles Parish Council meeting on Monday, June 17, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers in the parish courthouse in Hahnville. Please silence all electronic devices and remove all hats. This meeting is called to order with a prayer, and the Pledge of Allegiance from Pastor Gerald Bennett, Sr. with the 5th African Baptist Church in St. Rose.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All heads are bowed and eyes are closed. Our Father, our God, we thank you for another day that you've allowed us to live. We thank you for your compassions that have not failed, your mercies that are new every day. Thank you for your faithfulness. We've gathered now. We pray, God, for our council. We pray for our parish, for our communities, for our homes, our families. Give them wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, God, that they may rightly lead and guide your people. It's in the name of Jesus that we thank you. We love and we praise you. In your name we ask it all. Amen and amen. Bless you.
Thank you, Pastor. Appreciate it. Approval of the minutes. Motion and a second is needed to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of June 3rd, 2024. I have a motion by Ms. Skiba, second by Mr. Brouillet. Please cast your votes. And that motion passes unanimously. Special business, proclamations, canvass returns, etc. 2024-02116 in recognition. Pastor Gerald L. Bennett, Sr., the 30th year pastoral anniversary. Ms. O'Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a point of personal privilege, I'd like to recognize that I had an opportunity to meet Pastor Bennett recently, and I think it's only appropriate that we have this recognition on the day after Father's Day, because I believe he's a father to many. Yes. And with his heart of gold, I want to go ahead and read this recognition for you all. In recognition, Pastor Gerald L. Bennett, Sr. is the son of the late Norman Bennett, Sr. and Victoria Peters Bennett. He is the 7th of 10 children. And whereas Pastor Bennett is married to Janet Montgomery Bennett, he is the proud father of Gerald Jr., married to Jasmine, Jasper Lamar, married to Celeste, and Jarius Lavon, and the very proud grandfather of Grayson, Jackson, and Jordan Bennett. And whereas Pastor Bennett accepted Jesus Christ as his personal Savior and was baptized by the late Reverend B.J. Robinson on April 7, 1974, and whereas Pastor Bennett received his license to preach on September 26, 1974, and was ordained on September 17, 1978, by the late Reverend B.J. Robinson and the Jefferson Ministers Alliance. And whereas Pastor Bennett received a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration from Southern University in New Orleans and a Bachelor and Master's degree in Theology from the Christian Bible College of Kenner. And whereas Pastor Bennett is a member of the Ministerial Alliance of New Orleans and Christians Ministers Union of New Orleans, the National Baptist Convention, United States, and the Louisiana Missionary Baptist State Convention, President of the United States Baptist Association, Inc., and has received several certifications in expository preaching from the E.K. Bailey Ministries of Dallas, Texas. And whereas Pastor Bennett was installed as pastor of the 5th African Baptist Church in St. Rose on March 25, 1994. He is a servant of God and of the people. He has a passion for preaching and teaching the Word of God to others. He continues to make strides in the growth and development of his congregation. And whereas, let us hold to the motto that Pastor Bennett established, 5th African Baptist Church, where Jesus Christ is the center of attention. Now, therefore, be it resolved, we, the members of the St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President, recognize Pastor Gerald L. Vanette's 30th year, his pastoral anniversary. And I believe Pastor Vanette is here tonight to receive this.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, 2024-0217, in recognition, Ms. Amanda Pertwee, St. Charles Parish Communications District. The Parish of St. Charles and the St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President deeply appreciate your time of service on the St. Charles Parish Communications District. Ms. Amanda Pertwee, St. Charles Parish Sheriff's Office Representative, August 19, 2023 to March 12, 2024. Ms. Amanda couldn't join us tonight, but we'll go ahead and get that plaque to her. All right, 2024-0218, proclamation, 248th anniversary of American independence. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. A proclamation. Whereas the spirit of liberty and independence inspired the Second Continental Congress to resolve that these united colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved. And whereas the Congress appointed a committee of 5 consisting of John Adams, Roger Sherman, Benjamin Franklin, Robert Livingston, and Thomas Jefferson to draft the Declaration presenting to the world the colony's case for independence. And whereas on July 4th, 1776, 56 delegates to the Second Continental Congress risked their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to sign the Declaration of Independence and to assert their conviction that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And whereas July 4th marks the 248th anniversary of American independence, and whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this memorable anniversary and to the patriotic exercises that will commemorate the occasion. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the members of the St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President, do hereby proclaim July 4th, 2024 as the 248th anniversary of American independence, and urge all citizens to reflect on the blessings of liberty and on the rights, privileges, and attendant responsibilities of citizenship in our great nation. Be it further resolved that all citizens in the parish are invited to attend the 34th annual festivities at the St. Charles Parish West Bank Bridge Park in Luling on Wednesday, July 3rd, 2024, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. with a fireworks display at dark. Here to accept is Ms. Francesca Blanchard.
One more.
Good evening, council members. We'd like to invite you all to come out on July 3rd at the West Bank Bridge Park. Starting off at 6, we're going to have a new band this year called Sugar Shaker to provide entertainment, and we also have local nonprofits who will be selling food for their causes, and we have an excellent fireworks display at 9 o'clock at the Bridge Park. So we hope to see you all there. Thank y'all.
Thank you. All righty, reports, finance, administrative activities, 2024-0219, the Port of South Louisiana Mr. Paul Matthews, Chief Executive Officer.
Thank you so much, council members. Appreciate to be back again. My old boss at Porter Plaquemines told me the one constant in life is change. And so obviously there's been some changes here in St. Charles and also some changes at the Port of South Louisiana. We have 4 new board members. They have now been in their second board meeting and everything is flowing really well, so we're really glad for that. We've had some changes on staff. I have here with me, if you can stand, Ms. Tamara Kennedy, who's now our Chief of Staff, really making sure that everybody's working well together and getting things done. We have a new Head of Business Development, Mr. Micah Cormier, who was also handling public affairs at the port. And the reason for that is because we had some change where Ms. Julia Fisher Cormier, who you may have heard of before, now moved on to be the Commissioner of Multimodal Commerce with Landry's office, and I'm so happy for her. I'm so thankful for her and what she's doing. Now really leading ports, waterways, airport, rail, and working with all the ports and multimodal throughout the entire state. So we're very grateful for her, and she's a great representative of the river parishes and St. Charles. And so what I want to do is really talk about what we've been doing, and I'll go through the slides, but I may not use them, to be honest with you, because I just want to talk to you. It's been an incredible year for our port. We announced last month that now we're back-to-back all-time record revenue at the Port of South Louisiana. Our last 2 fiscal years have been absolutely incredible. And on top of that, for the first time in over a decade, we've had back-to-back net tonnage growth at our port. So when you have all-time revenue, when you have back-to-back tonnage growth, that means people are investing, people are moving in certain ways to create jobs for the people of the river parishes, including St. Charles Parish. And we were just here a few months ago supporting the project and expansion at Bungie. We're actually working with them right now to talk about other potential expansion projects and private investment coming in, where we can go after federal and state grants for them to enhance the infrastructure and job creation at Bungie. And so we're going to continue to do that. The President and I, Matt Jewell, we've talked about that many a times, and I want to thank you so much for your friendship and partnership working with the Port of South Louisiana. You don't become the second largest tonnage port in the Western Hemisphere and the largest grain exporter in the Western Hemisphere without the types of partnerships with our parish president. So very grateful for that. If I can, so this is just a snapshot, and you've probably seen this before as we've had growth, mainly on the grain side. You see our focus with over 1,400 vessels, ship calls coming into St. Charles Parish alone. There are over 6,000 ship calls on the lower Mississippi River representing all 5 ports. Half of those ship calls are within the Port of South Louisiana, and then half of those ship calls within the river parishes are right here in St. Charles Parish. So it's very significant with all the operations going on between Bungie and also ADM on the grain side, where we're investing, working with ADM to invest over $20 million in their infrastructure throughout the region. We are, from a foreign trade zone, now the second largest foreign trade zone by merchandise received. We're just behind LA, but I love college football, so I want to be number 1 and not number 2. So we're working on it. We're growing in that area, and we're going to plan on getting it done very soon. This is a breakdown of what we do as a port. We are a major food port, grain port, so we feed the world. At the same time, we are a major energy port. So you see the crude and petrochemical products, where 25% of the nation's petrochemical products that are exported comes down the lower Mississippi River, mostly through the Port of South Louisiana. And so that's just a breakdown, as you see there. We're going to continue to see a significant increase in grain exports as we continue to deal with this conflict in Russia and Ukraine, as those are 2 of the top 5 producers and exporters of grain throughout the world. So as China, Japan, North Africa, and Western Europe, they're seeing a need for more grain is going to come from America's farmers. For example, one of our top exporters, top 5 exporters, is the Netherlands. They used to be ranked about 4th or 5th in exports. Now they're 2nd. They just passed up Japan, and they're behind China as a result of Europe needing more and more food from America's farmers. So unfortunately, as this crisis continues, we should see growth in that area of moving more and more through the Netherlands, which has the infrastructure available to then move products through the rest of Europe. Our focus continues to be agriculture, infrastructure, and energy diversity as a port. That's been our wheelhouse for the past 3 years, and everything we do, that's our focus. And so I want to again mention what we've done with ADM on the land side dust system to reduce their dust throughout the river parishes, improve their efficiencies through the barge wall systems, and reinforcements of docks and storage expansions. And we do anticipate over $20 million of private investment through ADM over the next few years. And I think it's critical to understand that that is just one of many projects that we're focused on within the river region. Over the next 12 months, our port will have 17 projects with over $85 million of private dollars under construction over the next 12 months. That is very significant for our port, from St. Charles all the way to St. James. It's very key. But within St. Charles Parish, we have been very much supportive of the I-310 US 90 widening improvement project. I've been in many meetings with President Jewell on that issue. Definitely supporting the Bunge Chevron Ag Renewable oilseed processing plant. Again, it's a project that we know is going to be the betterment for the region and job creation. And then also the St. Charles Clean Fuels Project with $4.6 billion. And I think that's key, is that in St. Charles Parish, all the major projects that we're seeing are in the billions and not millions, and have a global impact, not just a state and regional impact. And so we're very supportive of that with over 1,100 jobs. One project that we believe that's going to have a benefit to St. Charles as well, along with St. John, is the Life Retire project. At our site, there's going to be an investment over $200 million by Life Retire, which is going to take in rubber tires and then turn them into biofuels. It'll have a job creation of 46 direct and indirect of 150,000. But the private investment and all the ancillary jobs that will be created within the region as a result is significant. It's the first in the nation that this is happening. I tell them that even though they have contracts with major companies for these old tires, they can just go down New Orleans East and pick up all the tires on the interstate. And they'll have a lot. And I think you guys can find some places in St. Charles that can pick up some tires as well, which I think could help the local community, right? So I think this is going to be a benefit to the region, but it speaks to the energy diversity piece for our port. So with that, I'll just take some questions. I see some new faces on the board, so if you have any questions about the Port of South Louisiana and how we can work together, I would love to have those questions or thoughts.
Ms. Skiba.
I'm just curious, what is the time frame on this Life for Tires project?
We anticipate by the end of the year be under construction.
Awesome.
Yep. And it was a LED project, so working closely with LED has been great for us. And this actually came up within the beginning of the Landry administration. So as LED has made its changes, it's been very aggressive bringing projects to us. And so we haven't done anything to try to turn them down. We say, look, bring them all here. Let's keep them in the river parishes. We'd love to have them.
Paul, I want to thank you. I look forward to every event we get together, and I'm listening to what's going on in the port and being part of it up and down the river, and of course, all the money that you're bringing in and seeing everything that we're expanding. And so appreciate you coming, talking to us. Again, come back,
Yes, sir.
anytime you want.
Yes, sir.
And staying engaged. I mean, I really appreciate the fact that, you are engaged in St. Charles Parish.
Yes, sir. And it's key because it's not about me asking you guys for anything. It's, what can we do for you guys? How can we help? How can we work together? And that's what it's all about in that partnership.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
All right, 2024-0220, Parish President remarks and report. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. First, we will get started, as it pops up on the screen here, with our Sunset Levee lift. All right, there you go. Lafourche Basin Levee District. This is a Lafourche Basin Levee District project to raise the Sunset Levee, and it is underway. Much of the initial work has been to clear and grub what will become our access road. Even from the time that these photos were taken, they are much further along than they are now. The road is a very solid road, and this was kind of a joint effort between us and LBLD. If you remember, we did a CEA at the council level because the access road for this levee lift will eventually become the access road for our future boat launch. And so as a part of this project, they are also doing the preloading of the actual area where the boat launch will be. So we are excited and hopeful that we can keep this project on schedule, and it is going to be completed by the end of this year. In the picture here, you can see some culverts going in. Those are 18-inch concrete pipe going in along the road. They have much larger culverts further down the road as we get to some other critical canal crossings and the crossing of the Marais. And again, we look forward to this project being done later this year, and hopefully we can get started on building the actual portions of the boat launch early next year and be launching boats by the end of 2025, which is our stated goal and has been from the beginning. Over to Willowdale. The work on Willowdale, the turning lane on the boulevard, is ahead of us, actually ahead of schedule. It's moving very quickly. The cuts for the lanes are done. The contractor will mill and overlay them, as well as install guard lanes and stripe after that. The northbound lane to westbound US 90, we want the residents to know at first is going to be a little bit awkward. It's going to be a little bit sharper of a turn as they kind of reposition where these lanes will line up. We're going to be working with DOTD to cut the nose back on that median a little bit further back to give residents the same feel as the original one, but we just have to take that one step at a time. So we just want the council to be aware of that if it comes up as we go to open it. Again, we'll be working with DOT to get that angle adjusted. Destrehan number 2 pump station upgrades. Sea Level has poured the foundation for the foundation slab for the automated bar screens / the bridge deck itself. That was performed last week. The continued work on drilling core holes through the back of the sump bay walls so that the sumps can be backfed. I'm sorry, the 272s can be backfed is continuing to take place. A major part of the improvement is increasing the size and storage capability of the sump. The whole goal is to store more water and pump more water out of this project. So it's coming along well, and we will keep you apprised of the project as it moves along. Primrose Canal updates. Phase 1A of the upgrades to the Primrose Canal is more than halfway done. Again, this project was started to stabilize the canal banks as well as widen and help the confluence of water on the Ellington, also known as the Primrose Canal, make that turn into Cousins Canal and towards the Cousins pump station. So we're excited about that, and it seems the residents are excited as well. They would like to know when their section of Primrose is going to be sheet piled, and just know that I believe that there's 6 phases to this project. So, I'm sorry, 5 phases to this project. So this is, again, phase 1A, and as funding becomes available, we will initiate new phases of this project and get this completed. Ormond Boulevard culvert improvements. Recently, Public Works made upgrades to drainage in 2 places on Ormond Boulevard, one at Shadow Lane and the other at near Elmwood Court. Crews dug up the old 36-inch pipe, which you can see in the photo on the right. It's not in great shape, especially after we tore it out of there, and replaced it with 3 24-inch culverts, which basically doubles the capacity in that spot on Ormond. Not every spot is doubling the capacity, but this is certainly an improvement. These we know are problem areas where we see street flooding start when we get heavy rain. So we do have a little bit of work out there to still get those areas dressed up, and we're going to be doing some work with concrete fabric to help these help stabilize these ditches, and then we'll look forward to making other improvements with that concrete fabric as well. So exciting project there, definitely a long time coming. Waterworks has their sea filter upgrades nearly complete. Again, sea filter is on the east bank. Waterworks has some punch list items to be done before they can cut the ribbon on it, but the new troughs are in place and the inside of the building has a fresh coat of paint. This is very similar to, I believe, E-filter or D-filter on the West Bank. We just did this on the West Bank as well. And this project was mostly paid for by a water sector fund from the state of Louisiana. Okay, we did some RSVP hurricane prep for seniors. RSVP has welcomed our St. Charles Parish seniors to the EOC on the 21st of May to learn how to prepare for hurricane storm season. This free class featured speakers from our EOC, the Sheriff's Office, EMS, as well as the animal shelter to help our seniors get storm ready. At your seats, you should see a package of those hurricane preparedness brochures. Please feel free to hand those out. We will also be putting those in all public buildings as well as our libraries for our residents. Rathbourne Park Restroom Facility ribbon cutting. Recently, I gathered with a couple of members of the council and a few folks from my staff to dedicate and cut the ribbon and celebrate the completion of the Rathbourne Restroom and Storage Facility. This is a new building with permanent bathrooms and also provides storage for the Mimosa Booster Club. Over to the Edward A. Dufresne Community Center. The community center is closed this week for repairs to the air conditioning. All offices within the Edward A. Dufresne Community Center will be closed, but staff can be reached by phone or email. All programs and activities are scheduled there have been relocated and or suspended. You can check www.scpparksandrec.com for more updated information. Just as an FYI to the council, we are going to be budgeting for a new chiller as well as a redundant chiller at the community center. It is the only building that we use in emergencies that does not have a redundant chiller, and I think it was designed that it could accept another chiller. Right now, what we're doing is just getting the chiller in a position where we can get to next year, and we'll begin that work to get that updated. Babe Ruth tournament at the West Bank Bridge Park this past weekend. The West Bank Bridge Park saw 2,500 visitors to cheer on 20 girls softball teams from St. Charles Parish, Jefferson Parish, Patterson, and Ponchatoula. I want to thank Parks and Rec for being an excellent host, as well as showing off all the new turf fields to folks around the state. The Fishtat Rodeo, again, in keeping with Parks and Rec, was rescheduled. The fourth annual Fishtat Rodeo was rescheduled a second time to Saturday, June 29th due to inclement weather on the previous rescheduled dates. Registration has been extended through June 28th, so please sign up at www.scpparksandrec.com to enter the whole family to compete. Waterford 3 volunteers, we had some folks from Waterford 3 come to the animal shelter to volunteer, and this is the North American Young Generation in Nuclear group that came and spent time at our shelter and walking and taking care of our little furry residents. The group collected donations for the shelter by having employees vote on nuclear-themed names for the puppy whose adoption they sponsored. Thanks to the dedicated groups of animal lovers for your generosity, and I believe they named the dog Nuke. Luling Mimosa Willowdale Drainage Public Meetings. We will be hosting a meeting at the PLC, also known as the Professional Learning Center, 12727 US Highway 90 on Thursday, June 20th at 6 o'clock p.m. to discuss the findings of the Master Drainage Plan and projects to come from that specific to the areas of Luling and the I-310 watershed. So think Luling and Old Luling, as well as Mimosa and Willowdale watershed. The proposed drainage improvement projects are a part of the Master Drainage Plan and will be completed based on assigned priorities and benefits to the residents. Overview of these projects will be presented at the meeting and will be accessible on our website same day as the meeting. stcharlesparish.gov/master drainage studies. SCP TV is now available in all app stores. Our original apps were in Roku and Apple TV, launched earlier this year, and residents asked us to expand to more platforms for viewing. So you asked, we delivered. You can now watch SCP TV on the go without a cable subscription in the SCP TV apps for Apple iOS, Android, Amazon Fire Stick. This is helpful for our everyday streaming, and when you are away from home, like during an evacuation, and making sure that you can access the channel anywhere on the go. So we're very excited about that, and we hope that'll help get our viewership up on the Access channel. 2024 Hurricane Guide is now available. Again, you have those at your seats. It's also on St. Charles Parish's website at www.stcharlesparish.gov/hurricane prep. If you would like any more printed copies, please give us a call at 783-5000, or you can give a call to the EOC at 783-5050. Last but certainly not least, April 2024 sales tax update. In a positive trend, sales taxes for the month of April were up 15.55% from last month, putting us just down over 4% since this time last year, and we are hoping that this trend will continue. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. All righty, ordinance resolutions introduced for publication, public hearing, Monday, July 8, 2024, 6 p.m., Council Chambers Courthouse in Hanville. 2024-0208, 2024-0215, 2024-0223, 2024-0224, 2024-0225, 2024-0226, 2024-0227, 2024-0228, 2024-0229, 2024-0230. Okay, ordinances scheduled for public hearing introduced at a previous meeting. 2024-0167, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement with Royal Engineers and Consultants, LLC, to create the St. Charles Parish Coastal Restoration Strategy, Parish Project Number NA, in the not-to-exceed amount of $250,000. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. After Hurricane Ida, St. Charles Parish sustained a significant amount of damage along coastal areas of the parish. In an effort to help identify and create projects to restore coastal areas of the parish, we are contracting with Royal Engineers to create a parish coastal strategy document. This document will help us identify at least 10 critical projects across the parish using CPRA-approved methodology and formatting. The parish will also use this document to leverage state and federal dollars for the design and construction of these projects, and will work to also get these documents or these projects included into the coastal master plan. I also have Royal Engineering here that can also speak to this and give a presentation to the council as well.
If you'd like to come up now and do it, I'd like to do it before the public hearing.
Good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Kirk Reinhardt with Royal Engineers and Consultants, and I've got Mr. Mike Pugh, our President and CEO, with me as well. President Jewell covered it pretty well in terms of this restoration and funding analysis strategy document that we'd like to develop for you. We have successfully used the recipe that I'm going to describe in this presentation in other parishes to attract significant dollars from outside of parish-only funds to those folks to build restoration projects. To date, using the approach that I'm going to present here, we've brought in over $100 million of outside funding to leverage against the funding that parishes have put up. So with that, the scope of services that we'd be providing, again, is to look at what you have already on the books in terms of your coastal plans, your planning documents, gather input from parish personnel, other stakeholders in the parish that work in the restoration arena. Identify 10 priority projects that you can focus on. Say if you don't have priorities, everything's important. So we really want to winnow it down for you to have projects that you're focused on and that you want to deliver for the parish. For those projects, we would put together the project need, the conceptual design, benefits that could be expected from building those projects, a schedule, a budget, permit considerations, and then ultimately consistency with the state's coastal master plan. If your funding source is going to be CPRA or one of the other federal programs, they're going to look to see that what you're doing is consistent with that bigger picture. So that's a key element of what we do, is to develop these projects in a manner and talk with these other agencies to ensure that they like that project and they're able to provide the funding when it comes time for full design or implementation of the project, that they're on board with it. And then, again, the funding source, there's lots of different buckets of monies out there, from Restore Act dollars to surplus dollars that might come from the state, CPRA, various programs. We want to align the projects that we identify with you to those funding sources and start that process where they know these projects are coming on board and we know it's something that they're interested in so that they're most competitive that they can be, and they're prepared to get in the queue. We would include a public meeting as part of this process, and we anticipate it taking 12 months before we finalize the strategy document and present to you. Quick shot of the 2023 Coastal Master Plan. You can see a lot of the green areas are marsh creation projects. The black lines are your levee protection system projects. But a lot of that is down on the edge of the Gulf. It's not up basin like St. Charles. So we zoom in to the parish and really don't have restoration projects in the master plan for this parish. We have the protection system there, and that's great, but it needs to be integrated. We need restoration as well. So part of this would be getting projects that the parish is interested in the next iteration of the master plan, right? Giving it to the CPRA, so when they do their modeling and they come around with the next master plan in 2029, that more of the parish is included in that. There are a lot of things, though, in the master plan that are consistent with it that aren't listed specifically. So shoreline protection projects, spoil bank gapping, continuation of existing projects for repair and maintenance, and then marsh creation projects associated with an event like Ida would be consistent as well, because those damages weren't on their radar when they put the plan together. So quickly, some examples on the East Bank. You guys are familiar, you've done marsh creation there historically. You've got ongoing projects now. You can see the equipment out there. Shoreline protection projects, just an example of where there's been some significant activity already in the parish. And on the northwest side of Lake Salvador, where you've got a significant amount of shoreline protection that's taken place. Just because there aren't projects in the master plan, and just because you've done a lot of work already on both the east and the west sides, doesn't mean there's not a lot of room for more projects to be developed. As President Jewell said, really focusing on the damages from Ida and developing marsh creation or shoreline protection projects where there was a lot of shoreline erosion experienced would be something that we would focus on. Looking at the remaining increments of shoreline that haven't been protected yet through QIPRA projects or other CPRA projects, as well as adding increments to marsh creation projects that are out there. Looking at the upper basin swamp hydrology, spoil bank gapping, look at any water quality issues, maybe projects that are associated with your drainage system to get the water through the swamp, avoid black water situations, increase the productivity of the swamp. We would look at those projects as they have analogs for you further to the west that have been conducted. And then certainly integrating the restoration projects with the protection system that, you're putting out there right now, providing shore protection, marsh creation in front of your levees, guarding your pumps. This was, very effective in areas of Lafourche where they had these systems deployed. The levees held up better in Ida, even though they were devastated. So looking at that synergy to provide your investments with additional restoration protection. And then we can do some interesting things like exploring building a project that might count towards your mitigation for these other protection system projects, right? So we can do some more interesting things like that to see what the art of the possible is for you. That was the quick rundown. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Why don't you have a seat up in the front, and after the public hearing, I'm sure there'll be some council people have some questions for you.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, file number 2024-0167 is now open for public hearing. Does anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, any council discussion? Mr. Perrier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've kind of studied what happens on the east bank of our parish for many years, and I'm familiar with some of the previous projects. Most of what you show on these diagrams is pretty much done, whether it be shoreline protection or, when I say done, or in progress now. So you got PO 17, that was done in the 90s. You got PO 75, you got PO 133, so those are going to happen. They're underway. So I'm impressed with that process. But those are already funded. They're already on the master plan, and I wonder what else we're probably going to identify. So you go to the west bank, and the only thing I see is the shielding, the shoreline protection along Lake Salvador. And my concern is that it's a scoping project. We have done a lot of scoping projects in this parish. I remember the last council being criticized for having a lot of funding of studies and not getting things done. And so I don't want to be a part of that type of process going forward. What we need things that are going to give us the feedstock to do the actual work. This is not the feedstock to do the actual work. This is the precursor of actual engineering designs. Am I seeing that correctly?
Yeah, so as part of this process, we may do some data collection, and we may perform some analyses that we would do as a normal engineering and design project as far as the feasibility, the front end of it, right? The 30% level where we would collect, information that may already be out there for surveys or geotechnical, because we want to make sure that these aren't shaded areas on a map with a concept. What we want to make sure is these are, as you said, the feedstock. These are constructible, they're fundable, and they're priorities that everybody can get behind and focus with sort of a common vision.
Right. So having been in the engineering business for 42 years, I kind of read these things and I look at the services that you have, and those are mostly supplementary to the things you've just talked about. So I see the cost going up if you have any other additional work that has to be done. But again, I'm concerned that we throw $250,000 at a scoping study again. And I can tell you that we spent between 2020 and now on master drainage plans in this parish. I went and added it all up. It's right at $3 million. But what we have actually done from those master plans is nowhere close in terms of execution. And I'm just concerned that we're putting another one of these situations out here, and this has nothing to do with you. I'm sure you're a wonderful consultant. But I'm just saying, for the council's sake, what is this? Okay? That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. I did neglect to say that the public hearing was closed. It is now closed. Ms. O'Daniels.
Thank you. I understand your presentation is more futuristic. We're trying to put ourselves, St. Charles Parish, inside of a plan that the CRPA or whoever is looking at. So we're looking at futuristically. I'm fascinated by, and you kind of glossed over at the end, but exploring mitigation credits through parish restoration. Can you tell me a little bit more about that in layman's terms?
Sure. So you have a burden of mitigation for projects that you're constructing.
Correct.
Because, you're living in a wetland here. And so if we can find a way to use parish dollars, instead of just paying a mitigation bank, but to fund a project that serves to provide protection or provides some other benefit from the restoration side, and also with that piece of property, count it towards or count it as the mitigation for one of your protection system projects. That's the proverbial win-win sort of scenario.
Right.
So we're sorting through if there's an opportunity for that with certain properties to get that lift and to get that dual benefit would be something that we would look at.
I guess what I'm driving at is there any way to possibly put some of our private projects that are looking for their mitigation, looking for a place to go, into this if it's set up as a project?
Absolutely. If we can leverage other funding to develop something like that, yes.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Jewell.
I just want to I'm going to take exception to what was said about the master plan projects. Yes, the master plans were expensive, but you know what's more expensive, Walter? What's more expensive is doing projects as we have done in the past in this parish, spending millions of dollars on pump stations that I'm now having to go back in St. Rose to rebuild because there was no feed engineering done, no thought process, no looking from a 60,000-foot level and seeing what do we actually need to be done. I also believe that we're doing a pretty good job. The culverts in Ormond identified in the master drainage plan. The Destrehan 2 pump station is a part of the master drainage plan. The Norco 5th Street drainage project, which we use the master plan to increase the size of those culverts of a previously planned project. The Norco pump station, which is under design right now, identified in the master plan. And we also have the Muntz pump stations that were identified in a master plan and are funded. We also have other projects that are in design right now that are part of that master plan. Do I have $250 million to snap my finger and go get it all done right now? No, but I think it's a heck of a lot better than blindly throwing money at projects, as this parish has for the past 30-plus years, and not actually delivering for our residents. So I think that the master drainage plans were not only the most valuable tool that we have completed in the first term, but will guide this parish because we did it in a way that we don't have to restudy. We understand nobody likes a study. Nobody likes going to the residents and saying, hey, we got to study this first. But there's a reason for it. It's the reason the Corps of Engineers does it. It's the reason that many of the engineering firms that you hire before they go and actually physically design a project are going to do a micro study around that area. So yes, they were expensive, but we did it in a way where you and the rest of the parish and the people who come after me never have to go and restudy these, and we will have a blueprint for the next 50-plus years in this parish, and I'm very proud of the work that we did implementing those studies and getting the work done that we're getting done now. Thank you.
Mr. Peeler.
Me? Mr. Jewell, I've gotten up before I got on this council for just about every one of the funding exercises that we've gone through, and I'm proud of what you've been able to do. I'm also impressed with some of the things that we have done. I'm just cautioning us that if you look at where this study goes, where are the opportunities? And there's one that I've seen on this document. Doesn't mean there won't be more, but the way I read it is we're going to have to identify these things, so it is the way it is. I'm not personally too endeared to the way that the scope is written. Okay, that's all.
No, I respect that, and I certainly wouldn't ask Royal Engineers to go and do the study before we actually paid them to do the study, because that wouldn't be a good way to do business. Just like we wouldn't ask the people who did the master drainage plan, hey, can you go identify the projects first, and then we'll see about doing the project with you. So I think that the important part of this is, yeah, I know things like Cuba Island in the northwest of Lake Salvador or potential places. I think there are other opportunities, as CPRA has said as much, within the LaBranche Wetlands Basin, but they just have not had the bandwidth to go in and really drill down into St. Charles Parish and study those areas. You look at what we're doing right now, what is it, PO 75, LaBranche Wetlands. That project started in the 1990s. if we could have been a little bit further along, get it designed quickly, obviously that had to do with some of the federal funding that's in place. But some of these projects right now, which may be really attainable in not just the master plan, but the annual plans that come out every year where we have surplus dollars for coastal, they are attainable now, and they may cost 10 or 20 million now. But if another storm comes or we wait 20 years and we know the cost of things are not going down, they become 40, 50, 60 million dollar projects. And that cost-benefit ratio, which the federal government uses so much for a lot of these projects, starts to flip upside down. And so I kind of just want to get ahead of this before before we get on the back end of this, and it becomes not feasible or affordable for the state and the federal government to decide to protect St. Charles Parish. As a member of the CPRA board, I want to leverage my ability on that board to get as many of these projects included in the master plan and the annual plans as I can.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Mr. Carmadell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Walter, yeah, I understand your frustrations because I just sent some stuff in today on some drainage issues. You know, we've done pretty good at keeping the water out. It's getting the water out that we're struggling with a lot. But when it comes down to this, I could bring you and show you 15 projects on my side of the river in the next 5 days if you wanted to see it. What most people don't realize is the only public hunting grounds in South Louisiana exist on the west bank of St. Charles Parish. And it's 34,000 acres that we're losing quick. You know, Ida took 50,000 acres from the south side of Lake Salvador that's no longer there. We just spent a lot of money on Morganza levees in this state and Upper Barataria. And if we let this marshland go, that water is going to be pushing in the back of Willowdale and those levees that we rode and toured the first month we got in office. There's not much left out there. I grew up out there. The vegetation is gone, and it's kind of like I've mentioned to you and several others before. We can do all we want, but the salt water's coming from the south, and it's killing everything that's protecting us. So unless you trust these levees 100% to let the marshland wipe out, we need to do something. It's really bad out there right now, all the way up into North Vacherie, where cypress trees are dying and falling into the lake. So we definitely have some projects, freshwater introductions, and marsh creation, rock jetties and berms that, you know, President Jewell mentioned Cuba Island. I used to fish recreational alligators on that island. It was 4,000 acres. Right now it measures 1,700 acres. So in the last 10 years, we've lost about 2,300 acres on one island. So there's definitely some opportunities. I understand the flooding and frustration, but we're going to have bigger problems if we don't take care of some of this stuff.
Thank you, Mr. Carmadell. Mr. Peel, you spoke 2 times on this subject. Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a past member of a 2-term administration that didn't blindly throw money at drainage projects, I can speak about our former, also as grants officer, about our former approach to coastal projects. We didn't have a coastal plan. Our focus, as far as CPRA was concerned, was getting our West Bank levee into the master plan. A lot of focus was on that. The way we handle coastal projects was they basically came to us. We had Mr. Steve Wilson on CPRA board, and a lot of the times some of the Earl Mathern with our planning and zoning, our coastal person, and he knew the projects that were out there that needed to be done. We had CAP funding, Coastal Impact Assistance Program, which is no longer available. And that's the way we got Lake Salvador shoreline protection projects done, and also some of the projects, La Branch projects. So with that funding source dries up, with the West Bank Hurricane Protection Levee now safely in the master plan, it's now a federal project. With the damages that I think we've all seen, the impacts Hurricane Ida had to Lake Salvador, the disappearing marsh, the before, after. I have a list of coastal projects that still need to be done, and the funding streams are fewer, available. So let us not also forget that our parish president is also on the CPRA board, and that is very beneficial to our parish in getting some funding directed to our parish for coastal projects. So that, having said that, I can tell you firsthand from meeting with CPRA, they want a plan. Don't just go up there and hold your hand out and say, we have XYZ project, we need this amount of money. It isn't going to happen. When we did the West Bank levy, we went up there, we had a plan, we had money invested, which this would be considered investing in a plan. We had millions of dollars invested in our levy. And the persistence and the fact that we showed that we had our act together and we weren't up there just asking for money for a project without even having done any sort of study or engineering or anything on it makes a difference. So after looking into this, I do feel comfortable with doing this project. I'm not saying I will feel comfortable with, okay, once this study is done, let's go have them do engineering contracts for all of them. No, and I don't think that's the administration's intent, having had those discussions with Parish President Jewell. But let us help him help us by giving the state a plan to see that we have these projects. I don't know, you didn't mention whether they would be prioritized. But just to know what the projects are, you got to have a scope, you got to have a cost estimate. Those are all looked for when asking for money. So I'm comfortable with this. I appreciate you bringing this tonight, the additional information, because we really didn't have much to go on from just looking at the contract. But thank you for your presentation.
We would generally prioritize them.
Okay.
But we would prioritize them based on funding sources, right? So you may
Right.
have a parish priority, but this funding stream really might not serve that, so there'll be another priority for that one.
Right.
So it's a little bit of, not just straight 1 through 10.
That's even more helpful.
Right.
Thank you.
Mr. Commodore.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One more quick question for you.
Yes, sir.
There are some major oil field assets in that wetland. So we should be able to open up for GOMESA funds for these projects in that type of area, correct?
These projects would absolutely be eligible for GOMESA funding. Yeah, absolutely.
Any further council discussion? Gentlemen, thank y'all. Very enlightening stuff. I agree with Ms. Fonseca. You got to have a plan, and it seems like you guys have laid out a part. We have worked hard on a lot of our projects, and like I said, we want to bring it to fruition. So whatever you can do to help us with shoreline, and like Ms. Carmodell said, getting back some of our wetlands, we can all benefit it. So do appreciate you coming in tonight.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Please cast your votes for file number 2024-0167. And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0202, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of change order number 2, the final one, for the hydraulic bottleneck near Destrehan Pump Station number 2. Project number P190507, to increase the contract by $5,614.14 and increase the contract time by 185 calendar days. Mr. Bingham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As this says, this is the final change order on this project. It was a successful project. We're very glad to have it done because it does improve drainage to the pump station at number 2. Which we are currently working on, and when that project is finished, it will greatly benefit the area in Ormond. So we would appreciate your support of this final change order.
Thank you, Ms. Bingham. File number 2024-0202 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Is there any council discussion? Mr. Jewell.
I just want to thank Mr. Bingham and his team for the final closeout of this project. This project was a big pain in the butt. to say it as nice as I can. A lot of conversations, a lot of kind of sleepless nights, as I know Councilman Pilier had as well, because of the way we had to do a cofferdam across the canal. So I'm glad that Mr. Pilier doesn't have to call me about the cofferdam anymore. And again, thank you for getting this closed out.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Mr. Pilier.
Mr. Bingham, thank you very much for getting this thing done. It's unfortunate it took as long as it did. I went there pretty much daily for a long time.
I'm aware.
And most are. And I have to say that when you look at the outcome of the hydraulic work that's done, it is a big, big benefit. So when you increase the canal, by 30 to 45% in certain size areas. I remember when you had white caps going down that canal. I watched them. You don't have that now. That's great. If we get this other project at the pump station done, it'll be fantastic. So thanks very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay. Any further council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0202. And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0203, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement with Evans Graves Engineers Incorporated to provide engineering services for LA 52, Phase 2, Blueberry Hill, US 90, project number P140201, in the amount of $245,903. Mr. Bingham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm sure all of you remember that wonderful day when we went out to the Paul Mallard and started the first phase of this, which is moving along very well. This is the second phase. It'll go from basically where the fire station is back towards US 90. We are actually going to do it in a step process. We're getting the survey for that area and doing the preliminary design of the engineering so that we can match it and make sure we get a proper cost estimate moving forward and have everything identified. We do have federal funds that are available for this project, so we are looking forward to trying to move this forward quickly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bingham. File number 2024-0203 is now open for public hearing. If there is anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Okay, seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0230. And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0204, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of Amendment Number 2 to Ordinance 20-7-2, which approved the professional services agreement with Digital Engineering and Imaging to perform planning services for the road maintenance 2022-2023 project number P220501 in the amount of $135,238. Mr. Bingham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to point out one of my major goals when I came here was to improve roads. I spent a lot of time as a design engineer improving roads, and this program here has helped us do that. We've eliminated a lot of the very poor and poor streets in the parish through this program, plus the concrete maintenance program that we just bid the other day. So in this contract, we had 2 iterations of our road manuals to assess the condition of the roads in St. Charles Parish. We finished the first one last year and did the construction work. We've been a little behind on this, so we've now gotten the second iteration, and this is to go ahead and implement the recommendations from that second iteration by preparing the bid documents and getting it bid and then constructed.
Thank you, Ms. Bingham. File number 2024-0204 is now open for public hearing. If anyone would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Is there any council discussion? Mr. Bingham, when do you think we are going to go to construction? You have a time frame?
On this particular thing, once we get this, we've already got the books. It should be probably a 3-month process to get us all the way through bidding the project.
So we're looking at September, October?
Yes.
Time frame? All righty, any further council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0204. And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0205, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement with MB3 Incorporated, DBA Civics, to perform consulting services for the West Bank Hurricane Protection Levy, ROW Acquisition and Program Management Services, project number P240503, in the not-to-exceed amount of $175,000. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman and Council. I think Mr. Sam Sholey sent y'all a really long markup of this particular ordinance, but it's just a fresh contract with Civics. Civics is a company that the parish has frequently used to obtain servitudes for infrastructure throughout the parish. They have also been used to assist with permits and with the levee construction works that we've had, open projects. Some of the open projects that are in need of these services, but not limited to these projects, is like the Cousins T-wall, the sewer force main relocations in regard to that same project, Upper Barataria projects, the Zalman's floodgates, sewer line relocations, et cetera. So we appreciate your support.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. File number 2024-0205 is open for public hearing. Is there anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0205. And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0206, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a contract with Southern Sites Services, LLC, for the St. Charles Parish Parks and Recreation Bethune Park renovations, project number REC BP 523, in the amount of $683,221.21. Mr. Foray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the council, Parish President Jew. Yeah, this was the second time we put it out for bid. We will be adding new fencing, a new basketball court, a sign honoring the old Bethune High School in that area. We also have some batting stops coming, batting cage, redoing the restroom. It will be a transfer of Narco Booster Club from Narco Elementary to Bethune Park. That way we reduce some of our maintenance from the school system. We already have the agreement in place to do so. So that helps us in many regards. So I'd ask for your support in this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Foray. File number 2024-0206 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Is there any council discussion? Mr. Perrier.
Mr. Foray,
Yes,
this
sir.
is just a general question.
Yes, sir.
In the bid opening, in the bid tab, there's some figures off to the right-hand side. Can you tell me what those are? I mean, I can see the bids and the bid amount.
I don't have it in front of me. Is that add alternates?
I don't know. I can't read it. That's what I'm, to the right. The scribble scratch, there. What is that?
That's add alternates.
It's alternate?
So that was like covering for the basketball court.
And that's not included?
Yeah, that's not included.
Thank you very much.
And I just want to add, the first set of bids came back probably 300,000 more than this. We got a lot of help from Public Works. We scaled back. We did some things in-house. We did most of the demolition, ripping up the foundation of Old Bethune High School, to save us close to $300,000. So thanks to Miles, and this was able for us to get the project in front of you, so.
I want to thank both of y'all, because, like I said, working together, there's no way we could have gotten all of this stuff done. So it just shows what we can do when we all work together.
Yes, sir.
So definitely part of it. Dwayne, I know it's been a long road for you, especially, with our friends at Norco, but, I think we're going to put a product out there that we all can be proud of, and our kids can play, and it'll be there for a long time. So thank both of y'all for it.
Thank you.
All right, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0206. And that motion passes unanimously. 2024-0207, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a solid waste disposal agreement with River Birch LLC for the term commencing on July 1st, 2024, and ending on June 30th, 2034, with options to renew. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. When you look at your garbage bill and you see $19 and some change on there, that total amount is created by the addition of two separate contracts. One contract is the physical collections of your garbage. So when you see the truck coming down the street and it grabs the garbage and brings it to the landfill, that is considered our collections contract. River Birch has our collections contract, and that's about $15 and change. That other $4 is the disposal side. So when they bring the garbage to River Birch, the River Birch charges us a fee per ton or per cubic yard, depending on what type of debris that we're throwing away, and that is charged to the parish, and then we pay River Birch for that amount based off of whatever that tonnage is. We're coming to the end of a 25-year contract. Being that there is no other Title D landfill in the parish or anywhere near the parish, we have asked River Birch to do a new contract with us, since, again, we are at the end of a 25-year contract. This is a non-exclusive contract. So in theory, we could go and ask some Gonzales landfill to throw our stuff away there, but I'm sure we would have to renegotiate our contract with River Birch on how we get it there via their truck. But this just extends our use of the River Birch landfill, which is on the St. Charles Parish Jefferson line.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell.
Chairman, I'll also mention that I do have Mr. Dominic Fazio here from River Birch if we have any other questions.
Thank you, sir. We'll keep that in case the council people have it. So file number 2024-0207 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Council discussion, Ms. O'Daniels.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to make some small amendments to the contract to correct some typographical errors in the non-exclusivity provision in paragraph 23. In the first sentence, I'm simply asking that "the" be inserted before the parish. And in the second sentence, I'm just asking for the parish to be spelled correctly, and then adding "any" in the sentence. It'll say parish reserves the right at any time to contract with other parties for any and all service/work contained herein. And those conclude my proposed amendments of those typographical errors.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms. O'Daniels, second by Mr. Bruyere, to amend file number 2024-0207 to correct sentence 1, add "the" before the parish. Second sentence, correct the spelling from pariah to parish. And in the last sentence, substitute "any" for "and." So file number 2024-027 is now open for public hearing. If there was anyone like to come up and speak regarding the amended, please do so now. Please state your name, address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Okay, seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Is there any council discussion on the amendment? Mr. Commandant? Okay, thank you, sir. All righty, so seeing none in the council discussion, please cast your votes to amend file number 2024-0207. Okay, and that passes unanimously. File number 2024-0207, as amended, is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Okay, seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any council discussion? Mr. Commandant?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Question for you, Mr. Jewell. If we did go out to Gonzales, to the next closest thing, what does that do to our collection contract?
I don't know exactly because, and Mr. Fazio might be able to allude to that, but because it would no longer be logistically reasonable to pack out a truck and drive all the way to Gonzales, keeping it off the road, keeping it off of Parish routes for theoretically several hours, we'd probably have to build transfer stations within the parish where trash would be dumped at the transfer stations. This is what you see in areas like New Orleans or I believe Lafourche and Terrebonne, where they dump trash at a transfer station, and then you have 100-yard long bed like tractor trailers, which will haul it from that transfer station to the landfill. So I think it would probably cost a little bit more money for the residents to do, and that's why we think it just makes sense to keep going with what works. Thank you.
All right, any further council discussion? Okay, seeing none. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Fonseca. Apologize.
No, that's fine. It's a late ask. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Parish President Jewell, this is non-exclusive, but the disaster recovery disposal contract will still be handled through request for proposals.
Yes, I appreciate that question. So
Okay.
for those on the council who may not know, this general contract for our everyday household waste and debris is a separate contract from what we would use in an emergency situation. We would follow federal procurement laws when we put out an RFP, and then we would have to grade them in the federally determined procurement way to be eligible for reimbursement from FEMA. So when you think of the DRC clause coming pick up the trash and garbage and hauling it to the landfill, completely separate contract from this. That contract actually expires at the end of this year, so probably around September, October, we'll be putting that out for proposal.
Thank you.
So Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In light of that question, I think that I'm trying to figure out, with non-exclusivity clause applies to both the declared emergency as well as regular residential trash pickup, isn't it? I mean, disposal, isn't that correct?
No, essentially the contract that we have in place for a disaster only works for declared disaster, and I essentially, when you grade, when you get proposals, you grade them, you select a contractor who you are going to use for debris collection. Let's go through them all. Debris collection, debris disposal, and debris monitoring. Those become your exclusive contractors for a declared emergency event. And so it would be a separate contract and separate in all ways from this.
Right, and it's provided that that is a separate, that's an opportunity for the parish to have any separate contract, including that.
Correct, I apologize. I understand your question now. Yes, the answer is that question is yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. There's no further council discussion. Please cast your votes for file number 2024-0207 as amended. And that passes unanimously. All right, next on our agenda, persons to address the council, 2024-0222, Ms. Rihanna Pierre, doing business in the parish. Good evening, Ms. Terry. You'll
Good evening.
have 5 minutes to speak.
Good evening. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to address you guys about doing business in the parish. For some of you, this may be your first time seeing me or hearing about what we were doing on Highway 90, 12153 Highway 90 at the old Whitney Bank next to the Shell station. Doing business in the parish can be easy. It should be simple. It should be transparent. Yet, it began that way for me. When I applied for my initial permit in 2022, I have the applications, and in the attachments that you all received, you will also see the permits that I received from the parish, the applications that I submitted, and then also the events that we had. On the last page of those attachments, you have a link where you can see the timeline of the Louisiana Business Center from our inception, from when we started, and we took a blighted building on Highway 90. I took out loans to renovate it, and we converted that blighted property into something beautiful. It was a venue. It was a place where we had Vacation Bible School. It was a place where my children came. We thought about businesses. It was a co-networking space, and that is what was on my application in 2022 when I applied with planning and zoning. Yet, when I applied again to open up the snowball stand, we had to go through the Department of Health. We had to get approved. And just like most businesses, there are steps that you have to take. And we had to do that in order to be in compliance. And I did. I received my permit from the Department of Health in 2022 for the snowball stand as a full-service restaurant. I also had to apply with the fire marshal, had to make some changes, had to make sure that everything was in compliance. They came out and they did an inspection, and I received my certificate of occupancy from the fire marshal's office. In 2023, March 11th, March 13th, I received a cease and desist from Planning and Zoning Department because we had a private event. And from that day up until April 17th of 2024, I did not receive my permit from the local office in order for me to operate that snowball stand that was approved through the state, that the fire marshal came and inspected even after the cease and desist. So they were able to see that we had a full-service restaurant. I have had to spend money to reapply with all of these departments, and the only thing that changed when they came back out was my name. Because I could not get a permit for Pepe's Snowball Stand or the Bank Business Lounge, I thought lounge was a place that we could relax, a place that we can let our hair down. Based off of the definition, I didn't realize that planning and zoning considered it to be a bar. I counted the costs before I opened the business. Nobody builds a business or builds a house without counting the cost. I knew what I was doing with the restaurant. It needed to be more than 300 feet away from the public library, St. Charles Parish Public Library. And when I went and I met with planning and zoning on June 13th, 2023 of this, you also have in your notes, I was told I was 470 feet away. Therefore, I was still in compliance with the local ordinances in order for me to open the restaurant. From June 2023 up until April 2024, I did not receive my local permit to operate. I did not sell a single snowball. And once I realized that I was not able to get my new permit, I changed the name of my business with Department of Health, from Pepe's Snowballs, and I renamed it back to the Louisiana Business Center because I already had the permit from the local planning department. When I reapplied, they came back out. They looked at the same things that they looked at in 2022. They gave me my permit. South Central Planning gave me my permit as well. The fire marshals came back out. They gave me my permit as well. I changed nothing but added a flute. Doing business in St. Charles Parish can be easy, but what I found out and what I've learned is that it really depends on who you are, what you're doing, and where they will allow you to do what you're doing. And that is unfortunate. With this council, I hope you guys will make this process a little bit more transparent, where you will be able to see who applies, how long it takes for them to get. I have the emails. I know my time is up. I asked for just one more minute to speak.
Yeah, if you ask for 3 more minutes?
Yes.
Okay. I need a motion and a second to extend our time by 3 minutes, please. I have a motion by Ms. Fonseca, second by Ms. Wilson. Please cast your votes. The motion passes unanimously. Ms. Pierre, you have 3 more minutes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I ask that you guys would make this process a little bit more transparent, where you guys, the public, the general public, will be able to see who applies, what they're applying for, and how long it takes in order for their permits to be granted, and the stages in which it's in. I have emails and a track record. You can do the public records request. I know that you don't have to speak. You can ask, and it has been a process. I'm competent, and I read the ordinances, yet it has not been easy. I have been told that the reason why I wasn't given my permit was because of public perception about what we're doing. And I was asked if I could relocate it to Paul Mallet Road. And I said that I did not have a lease nor a building on Paul Mallet Road, and that's why I was where I am. I was told that I wasn't given my permit because they had to do the landscaping and they had to review it to see if I had enough bushes outside. This was in 2023. These conversations I also recorded because I wanted to make notes after the fact and make sure I understood it. I pray that no one else has to go through what I've gone through. And unfortunately, 3 weeks after I received my occupancy from planning and zoning to operate, the building went up for sale. The owner was contacted by the sales tax department, asked to provide a copy of the lease to prove what I can and cannot do there. Every food truck that came to the site was contacted. I've received calls from different departments telling me about parking and the liability and how am I going to service the business that I'm going to have there before I was even able to operate. I have received an audit from St. Charles Parish School Board. I know that's not you. In March, when I wasn't able to sell a single item. I'm telling you, doing business can be easy. But it's been a year, and I've lost all of my investments and my loans due to this process. So I thank you for your time. You can see the pictures. We had a good run. This was where I wanted to create a legacy and leave for my children. They're there. They've been a part of the process. But it wasn't going to be a bar. It was going to be a restaurant and a place where we all can hang out. So just consider that for the next person who comes. And maybe we'll be able to purchase it. But the reason why I couldn't is because I couldn't sink another dollar into it, not knowing whether or not I would get the permit and be able to move forward.
Thank you, Ms. Pierre.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, resolutions. 2024-0221, a resolution endorsing a waiver from Appendix C, Subdivision Regulations of 1981, Section 3, Geometric Standards, B, Blocks 3 Arrangement as requested by Myra Soley and Molly Badeau. Mr. Albert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This request is to subdivide one lot into two. It has a waiver request to allow access via a servitude to both lots. The department, as well as the Planning Commission, or the department recommends approval. The Planning Commission approved the subdivision contingent upon your approval of the waiver. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Albert. File number 2024-0221 is now open for public comment. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. All right, seeing none, is there any council discussion? All right, seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2024-0221. passes unanimously. Appointments. Resolution appointing an ad hoc member with a health professional background to the Board of Directors for the Arc of St. Charles. The council will confirm the nomination to the Board of Directors of the Arc of St. Charles ad hoc member with a health professional background to fill the vacancy caused by the expiration term of Dr. Jeffrey Quo, M.D. Two-year term to begin July 1st, 2024 and expire June 30th, 2026. Mr. Quo, Dr. Quo has served 2 consecutive terms and cannot be reappointed by the Arc of St. Charles bylaws. However, on May 13th, 2024, the Arc board members approved for any of the 2023-2024 board members whose term of office is due to expire June 30th, 2024, be extended for up to 1 additional 2-year term. Our nominee is Dr. Jeffrey Quo, M.D. Please cast your votes to confirm the appointment of Dr. Jeffrey S. Quo, M.D. as the ad hoc member on the Board of Directors for the Arc of St. Charles. And that motion to confirm appointment passes unanimously. 2024-0209 is just an announcement. A resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Civil Service Board. On Monday, July 8, 2024, the council chairman will accept nominations to the Civil Service Board to fill the vacancy created by the expiration of the term of Mr. Brett Terrebonne. A 3-year term to begin August 1st, 2024 and expire August 1st, 2027. 2024-0210 is just an announcement. A resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Civil Service Board. On Monday, July 8, 2024, the council chairman will accept the nomination to the Civil Service Board to fill the vacancy created by the expiration of the term of Ms. Sarah Champion. 3-year term to begin August 1st, 2024 and expire August 1st, 2027. 2024-0211, just an announcement, a resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Library Board of Control as a District 3 representative. On Monday, July 8, 2024, the council chairman will accept nominations from the District 3 council member to fill a vacancy created by the expiration of the term of Ms. Beverly A. DeLawn, a 5-year term to begin August 1st, 2024 and expire August 1st, 2029. 2024-0212, a resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Library Board of Control as a District 4 representative. On Monday, July 8, 2024, the council chairman will accept nominations from the District 4 council member to fill the vacancy created by the expiration of the term of Mr. Randy D. Mathern, a 5-year term to begin August 1st, 2024 and expire August 1st, 2029. Meetings, announcements, and notices. Meetings. The Board of Adjustment, the ZBA, will meet Thursday, June 20th, 2024, 6 p.m. in the council chambers. The Housing Authority will meet Tuesday, June 25th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers. The Hospital Service District Number 1 will meet Wednesday, June 26th, 2024 at 2 p.m. in the council chambers. The Lafourche Basin Levy District will meet Wednesday, July 3rd, 2024, 6 p.m. The Lafourche Basin Levy District Office, 21380 Highway 20 in Vacherie. The Communications District 911 will meet Monday, July 8th, 2024, 5 p.m. The 911 Center, 222 Joe Louis Lane in Hanville. Legislative Committee will meet Monday, July 8th, 2024 at 5 p.m. in the council chambers. Discussion regarding the ad valorem tax exemption for first responders, and discussion regarding the amended Chapter 15, Section 15-9 regarding school zones. St. Charles Parish Council meeting, July 8th, 6 p.m., council chambers. We have a parish holiday, Wednesday, June 19th, 2024, to celebrate Juneteenth. The 34th Annual Independence Day celebration, Wednesday, July 3rd, 2024, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., the West Bank Bridge Park in Louisville will have the fireworks display at dark. The parish holiday will be Thursday, July 4th, 2024, Independence Day. Please note there will be a 3-week lapse between council meetings. The next regular council meeting will be held on Monday, July 8th, 2024, in the council chambers at the courthouse. I need a motion and a second to adjourn. I have a motion by Mr. Carmondale, second by Mr. Peele. Please cast your votes to adjourn. And that motion passes unanimously. On behalf of the Parish Council, we wish everyone a happy 4th of July. Have a great evening. We're officially adjourned.